Welcome back to Vintage Story and Aura Fury. I'm here today in front of a beautiful painting by Saraty, and we are together, EconBrony and I, going to introduce you to a new competition. But first of all, let me ask Econ, what is the competition and how's it going to run?
So the competition is a chiseled painting competition this time. We're going to give all of the contestants a theme that they have to follow on. And then, of course, we're going to have a set of rules that everyone has to go along. And they're going to have an entire month this time. And if they want more time, they can actually start early. And this time we won't have competition grounds either, since it's a smaller project and something that can be done over time. You'll be able to do it in your own base and then turn it in for judging at the end.
Great. So basically you can work at home on this, guys, in your spare time, then pack up your painting and bring it along on the day. Now, can they start now?
Yes. If they want to start on the painting now, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop you, especially since all the rules and everything are going to be out there. So if you want to get going on it, you got the ideas, go for it.
Excellent. When is the finish date? When is the judging date?
It will be up to the schedules of our judges, of course, but all of the paintings are due on the last day of September, so judging could start technically on October 1st, but again, it's going to depend on their schedules on when they have the time to go in and do the judging.
Okay, and for that competition, who are the judges? Let's start with that first.
Oh, I'm pretty excited about this. Of course, you, Ashantin, is going to be one of our judges, and then Copygirl is going to be another one of our judges, and Saraty is going to be our other judge. So very excited about this. So the very person that did this painting that's right behind me is going to be one of the judges, and of course, as you all know, she's done so much of the beautiful work on Vintage Story itself.
Yeah.
So what a great group of judges that we have here to
That's very sweet
decide
of
the
you.
winners. And this was actually the whole project, the contest is actually your idea. That's what kind of started this whole thing going. So
Yeah.
very fitting that you'd end up being one of the judges, I'd say.
I never expected that, but yeah, it was my idea. I'm not good at things like chiseling paintings, but I do have lots and lots of ideas for competitions. We all contribute in different ways. Now, let's get down to the basics of this. We've talked about the painting competition, but what is the theme?
So the theme is actually Vintage Story itself, and this was actually one of Aladark's idea, who actually came up with the beautiful name for the competition, Essence and Moments of Vintage Story.
Ooh.
So you can do anything that is related to Vintage Story, as in a scenery, or you could do a lore piece, or do one of the mobs, whether it's the Drifter or one of the Rams, or the daily life of the Seraph. So anything
Wonderful.
that actually relates to the game itself.
Or even one of the butterflies. We have butterflies in game.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would be a perfect thing to use.
so many. At first, it seems there's almost too much, but once you get into it, there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't do the whole lot. Right, now, we've talked about the time frame. Now, what about the materials you can use and the size of the painting?
So the materials have to be all from vanilla. So we do have a couple of mods that add materials, but that won't be allowed. To stick kind of with the theme, it would make sense that all of the materials that you would use would come from Vintage Story itself. And as far as the size goes, it has to be a 2 by 2 minimum, so 2 blocks by 2 blocks, up to 9 blocks in total size. So it gives you a whole bunch of different orientations you could make with it. So you
Yeah.
could do a 2 by 4, for instance, or you could do a 3 by 3. But in the end, you have to make either a square or a rectangle so it will fit in with all the other competition pieces when it goes on display.
Okay. What about frames?
A frame is required, and we're actually going to leave it up to the artist to decide how big or small that frame's going to be, but it has to be within that size. So you can't use blocks and put it around on the outside to make your frame. If you decide to go with 2x2, for instance, you will have to consider your frame as part of that 2x2.
Oh, right. So you can't do a 2x2 and then say, well, I could use up to 9x9, so I'll put a frame around the 2x2.
Oh, well, if you did something like that, that could work, as long as you stayed within your block sizes. But if you did 3x3, then you're limited.
Yes,
You're
absolutely.
very limited. You can't go on it.
Okay, okay. So if in doubt about frames, ask Econ. Now, you have to name your painting, is that right?
Correct. You can use the chisel to put a name onto the painting itself, and you'll just do that with all the blocks. It'd be a good way for us to be able to tell whose it is, and then of course it gives you the chance to be creative with the name and permanently leave your name on your work of art.
Okay.
Along with doing that, we're allowing the placing of signs underneath, and you can put a caption of some sort if you wanted to explain something to the judges or the viewers about your painting, or if you just wanted to do a haiku, you could. It's completely up to you. But you can have a caption that goes along with your painting, but that's completely optional. You don't
Okay.
have to do that part. But naming your painting is a required part of the competition.
Okay. What's a haiku?
A haiku is a type of poem.
Oh, I've got you. Haiku, yeah. I misheard. Right. And please, I know I tend to make up poetry, but nobody asked me to make up a poem for this one. Right, now, how many paintings per person can you submit?
We're only going to be allowing one painting submission per person. Under the small chance that we don't get as many contestants as we expect, we could revise that rule, but we're expecting a decent turnout for this, so we're going to make it simple and just say one submission.
Okay. If somebody has already done a painting, now, for example, the painting behind us that Saraty did, suppose, I mean, she's a judge, so she's not going to, but suppose somebody already has a painting that they want to pack up and bring along and submit. Can they do that?
The preference would definitely be to create something new versus just using something you already have, or at least make some modifications. But obviously we wouldn't have any way to police something like that, so if that's something you'd want to do, we just have to kind of let it happen.
Okay. Word to the wise guys, if you're one of the people whose builds I've videoed and your painting is in the video, somebody might cotton on that you've already done it. Okay, now, what about the number of prizes? What is the painting going to be judged on?
So there are 3 sets of prizes. The judges are going to decide what their favorites are of all of it. So they're going to choose the number 1, and then they're going to choose the number 2 paintings, and then they're also going to choose a couple of runner-ups too, who they think would have got it if the other painting wasn't there. And then our final prize, so our third prize, will be decided by community vote. So we're going to probably put in a teleporter again that allow to get people out to the museum like we did with the build competition.
Perfect.
So that everyone can go out and view the finished projects, and we'll only put the names of the paintings up for vote so that everyone has to go and see it, because it's much better to see something in person in the game if you can, versus just looking at a picture of it. Well, in this case, a picture of a painting.
Yeah.
A picture of a picture.
Yeah. Okay. And then
those.
What
Oh yeah, and what are the prizes?
what are the
Right.
prizes? Yes. What can we win? Or not me, but what could somebody win?
So the first place prize is a limited edition Yeti, and there are actually three of them. Yeti is if you're not familiar, is a higher end brand for water bottles and steel koozies and coolers and things like that. We have a can cooler, we have a water bottle, and then we have a insulated mug, and they have the two Aura Fury logos actually engraved right into them. So we have the normal one, the flame is on the front, and then the Voodoo Magic Where People Matters logo is on the back. The mug is not available in stores. You can only have gotten it online. And then the other two are actually a limited edition color that are no longer in print. So kind of cool that we were able to get a hold of those before I went down. But we are going to give an option to, if you don't have an interest in getting a Yeti, you could choose a $30 gift card to Steam or the Aura Fury merchandise store. If you wanted to get a t-shirt or something, you have that choice. And then we also offer the option of getting a copy of Vintage Story along with the supporter add-on, of which you could give to a friend if you wanted to, friend or family.
Okay.
For second place, it's a $25 gift card, so either to Steam or the merch store again, or the game code for Vintage Story, and then the community vote is also the $25 gift card to Steam or the merch store, or getting the game code and the supporter role.
Okay. It sounds absolutely fantastic. Those sound really, really good prizes. Now, where do the paintings have to be delivered to and hung up?
So we'll need to message myself when the painting is ready. So send a message to EconBrony, and I will set up with Mikey, who curates the museum, and it will be put onto display at the museum on the server that Mikey runs. Quite the fitting location.
Absolutely. We will put up in the competition channel a picture of the place that they're going to be displayed so that you can see what it will look like in the background. I think most of the walls in the museum are chiseled chalk sand, aren't they?
Yes, for the most part.
So you have to think about what's going to look good against that background when you do your painting, and actually particularly the frame. A white frame might not look so good against the white chalk.
Yeah, very true.
Okay, but the picture of that will go up. Now, in the long term, what will happen to the paintings?
The paintings are going to remain at the museum. They're always going to be on display there. So as long as the server exists, so will the paintings at the museum for individuals to go and see.
Okay, so if you don't want to, if you want to copy in your own home when you've done the painting, take a copy before you deliver it to the museum.
Correct.
Okay, now when they're hung up in the museum, can other people come and take copies of them?
No, because the museum is actually claimed now, so only the individuals that are working on the museum itself have access to it, and myself. And then, of course, we're going to ask Mikey to make sure that he doesn't give out copies of that, which he'll have no problem with.
Oh, of course not, no. But because the name of the artist presumably will be under the painting, at least I hope people will put their names underneath, if they keep a copy at home and somebody approached them privately on the, Aura Fury Discord and asked to, trade for the paintings, presumably it's up to the artist if they want to trade for a copy of the painting.
Correct. That'd be completely up to them.
There you are. So if you want a particular painting, you think it fits with your theme or you fall in love with it, you could trade materials, Or if you're not very rich and you're early in the game, you could go and do a couple of hours work for the person who's made the painting. And I'm quite sure you could be able to get your own copy. Econ, do you think we've covered everything? We've covered the competition, we've covered the theme, we've covered the time frame, 1st of October, we've covered the rules on the size of the materials, we've covered naming, we've covered where it's taking place, we've covered 1 entry per person, the number and types of prizes, the judges, and what happens to the paintings in the long term. I can't think of anything else. Can you?
The only thing we missed is that everyone's painting will be available on the Aura Fury website to see. So you'll be able to see some pictures after the voting's all done, of course.
Okay.
And then Tyron is going to do a blog post about the vintage story chisel painting competition.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
So the winners and the runners-up are going to be featured in that blog post.
I'm quite sure he will see some of the other paintings. So if you just want to do a very simple painting, don't forget, guys, sometimes simple is incredibly effective. Right, thank you so much, Econ. I think we've grasped the rules now. These are all going to be up on the competition section of the Aura Fury Vintage Story Discord. Thank you very much, Econ.
And thank you for being a part of this competition and giving us the idea in the first place. It should be a lot of fun for everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.